through, please reach out to me, and would be happy to assist you. So really all things federal. So the construction side of my life has been put to the side along with real estate. I had to put my license inactive. That was one of the licenses you can't have working for a federal office. So, but I'll be able to continue to serve on the CareerTech board and the State Department of Education board. So at any rate, that's just a little update on my little world.
Well, Stella, whose position did you take, or who did you replace, or is it,
yes.
Is it a position?
Many of you may know Brooks Wright in Central Oklahoma, so here in Oklahoma City. So that's who I replaced.
So I spent a lot of time working with Mona Taylor.
Yes.
And the gentleman who's been taking care of our area, and you may be now covering part of it, I'm not sure. We're just outside of Oklahoma City, is Caleb Cochran.
Yes. Yes. Know Caleb very well. Absolutely.
So
yeah.
where is your territory? You say Central Oklahoma, basically Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma County and all of Cleveland County. So just those two most populated counties.
So the next time I talk to Caleb, I'm gonna say, well, and we'd like to have her take care of us as well. And you can stay down in Southeast Oklahoma.
He's a great guy.
Well, Mona and I have stories that go way back, because she was there with gosh, she goes back to the Mickey Edwards days. So great lady. I think a lot of her.
Yes, she is. She is a gem, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations, I think.
Thank you. Yes. No, it definitely, this was a season that I just could not say no and had to jump in. So I'm thrilled and honored to do so.
Good. Well, we know James quite well as well. He's been to our community many times.
Superintendent Hoffmeister, we do have the board members present. We have one more waiting. They should be connecting right now, and we are live streaming. So we are prepared to proceed whenever you are.
Good morning.
All right, very good. Good morning. I kicked off losing my internet 3 times in the last 30 seconds. So I hope you can hear me. Can anyone, Dr. Mack?
Yes.
Joy.
We can hear you.
Very good. Thank you.
Good morning.
All images are gone on my screen, so I may be popping in and out. I welcome all of you and thank you so much. We are so excited to be able to, even though we have single please call back in or try to come in. We'll start with a roll call, and please call the roll.
Ella Hernandez.
Here.
Brian Bobeck.
Here.
Jimmy Stallings.
Here.
David Stewart.
Here.
Michael Brown.
Here.
Tim Berg.
Here.
Randy Gilbert.
Here.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Here. All right, and do we have a quorum?
Yes.
And did we comply with the Open Meetings Act?
Yes.
All right, very good. Well, with that, we'll call the meeting to order. And first up on the agenda are just some opening comments from the chair. I'll just again.
Superintendent, we did lose your audio again.
Okay, hang on just a minute.
While Superintendent Hoffmeister is reconnecting, I will go ahead and help and continue with the agenda, and we will get her opening comments when she reconnects. But agenda item 1.03, director's comments this morning. As Superintendent Hoffmeister, thank you guys very much for joining us today. Just a few things and a few comments that I have, and then we'll get into the agenda where we'll cover some other items that we've been working on. Open meetings, we are very fortunate that we had the opportunity to connect virtually. I want to thank Metro Technology Center. They were working with us on providing us a site to meet there today, but with the legislation passing, we were able to provide the virtual connectivity for everyone. We also have the opportunity. Back in October, November, we started a partnership with the department DPS, and in that offering the OHP licensing test. And so that partnership has continued. And as you saw in the executive order, we are partnering with the Department of Public Safety to be able to offer the testing for Class D in motorcycle. And Moore Norman Technology Center, which Mr. Ruttman is on here with us today, is our pilot site. Once we complete that pilot site, we will be able to open that to other technology centers and locations to offer that, just the test piece, not the eye exam and those particular things, but just the testing component to help with the flow for individuals to obtain their driver's license, Class D and motorcycle currently at this time. So we're very excited for that partnership. This month is Career and Technology Education Month nationally. We know it's that every month in Oklahoma. It's Career Tech Month every month in Oklahoma, but we did celebrate with various connections this month. Aerospace was our industry panel, and having conversation around that. Next month, we will focus on construction. And so we're very excited to be able to continue our industry panels as we move forward. Last few things that I have, and then I will turn it back to Superintendent Hoffmeister. Our agency, kudos to our staff. I mentioned before we got started talking about the great work that our maintenance staff has done here to prepare our parking lot, making sure everything's still good to go here at the agency. And another shout out to our agency staff. Our agency was in the top 10 for United Way here in Payne County as giving to the United Way. So, and that is all from our employees and their personal contributions that they made to the United Way. So very excited to be a part of that for Payne County and our community, but our employees definitely have stepped up, and our agency was in the top 10 of the donors. And then you will also receive, and notice on our website yesterday, Connie Romans has been working on our CareerTech champions. We highlight CareerTech champions in various ways, but we just put out 2 new issues, issue 56 and 55. So we will make sure that we get those sent out to you. If you want to check them out there on the website, Connie did a great job getting our champions highlighted so that we can make sure that we're showing the great things that we're doing in CareerTech, our students and our frontline instructors and administrators, all the work that they're doing. So that concludes my comments. Superintendent, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. And I love how you said that. It's Career Tech Month every month in Oklahoma. So I agree. Well, let's look at our first item of action, item 1.04, discussion and vote on the minutes for the regular meeting of January 21, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd, Mr. Byrd, Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Stallings,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Now let's look at the next item, which is the 2.01 nurse refresher course. And we are going to hear from Laura Morris. Ms. Morris.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, Laura.
Let
Good
me
morning.
share my screen because I'm sure you'd rather see my PowerPoint than my face. We'll see if I can make it happen. There. Tell me everyone does this, right? Okay, slideshow from beginning.
Now we can see it.
You can? Wonderful. Thanks so much. Okay, well, it has been quite a it's been a crazy 2 months with this program, and I wanted to share some of the great things that are happening in health careers. We actually have kind of adopted this program from the adult and career development side, and we've been keeping it going for about 15 years now, or not quite, but anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the program and where we started and where we're going now. So the Nurse Refresher Program basically is for registered or practical nursing students who never took their board, or those who passed the exam but didn't finish their, but they didn't get their license, or they let it lapse rather. So they've already completed their education, they just didn't do that last step, or they let that last step lapse. So since the beginning, we've had a very structured course. There is a didactic course that is done online in a partnership with OU College of Nursing. And then CareerTech has always done the clinical components. We have locations all across the state, and I'll show you those in just a couple minutes. This is what's changed. We went from approximately 240 hours to 80 hours, and have really tried to streamline the process and to make it less expensive. The original program was $25.99, and yes, that's in thousands, not $25. And that was one of the concerns: is what are we going to do to reduce that cost when we're in a pandemic and we need to get as many nurses back to work as we possibly can. So our committees met together, and the Board of Nursing made some edits to their rules and regs, and so what we've done is over here on the right-hand column, and we've made the course that used to be 70, 80 hours, something like that, 40, by creating a flipped classroom or competency-based. So this is really exciting. If you're one of those students who would love to take the test first and prove that you know what you're doing, this is the course for you, because OU has flipped their course. If the student proves competency in the assessment, then they go on to the next module. If they don't, then they can go back and actually take the content of that module. So that speeds things right along. And then the clinical component, we've combined to where it's a total of 40 hours. And it is a skill check. Those skills are defined by the Board of Nursing. And this is where it gets a little different for us. We've worked with our schools so that many of them are offering simulated clinical experiences. As you probably can guess, it's very difficult to get clinicals just in general, but in a pandemic where a lot of hospitals have shut down the opportunity for students to come in and work. This was basically, these are the first people who would be shut out of the clinicals. So we are now doing an online, if the student chooses to do that. And what's neat about that option is the student doesn't have to pay for a background check. They don't have to pay for all their scrubs, travel to and from clinicals, and any kind of vaccinations that they would have to be up and current to work in the healthcare setting. For both the didactic and the clinical, we have added the opportunity for students to add more time on if they don't feel like they're getting the information, or if the instructors don't feel like they're getting the information they need. These are the current tech centers that offer. We're at 10 right now. So we've got the state pretty much covered. We've got Enid, Yukon, Okmulgee, Southeastern Oklahoma. It says Hugo and Antlers, but I bet I'm pretty sure that they would work with you whatever area you lived in Southeastern Oklahoma. Meridian, here in Stillwater, Metro, more Norman and Norman, Pontotoc, and Southern in Ardmore, and Tulsa Tech. So, and we're in discussions with a couple of other schools as well. So this is what's been happening that's been just crazy fast. We had a press release for the new nurse refresher program on January 14th, and I'm not going to read all this to you, but this is where actually getting the word out, it can make a huge difference for students. So we had the press release, and then very quickly we got a couple of interviews, and we were contacted by the Masonic Charity Foundation. And basically the director said, I'd love for you to write me a letter requesting $200,000 in scholarships. And I said, I think I can do that. So later that day, he had a letter that was asking for 100 students to be scholarshiped. So there would be no cost to them for taking the nurse refresher. We had to wait until their board approved it, but once it had been approved, we also sent out another press release telling everyone that these scholarships are out there and our phones are ringing off the hook. We've also been contacted by St. Francis, and they're working with the schools in the Tulsa area. They would like to hire an employee who may not have who may be in this situation and needing to take the test or sit for the course. And with that, they would actually pay for the course for students. So that's another opportunity just by the press release that we've received information on. So next steps, and these are kind of current steps too. We revised the curriculum on February 4th. We got our whole group together and went through line by line to make sure it was going to be reflective of what's currently going on. Sent out a memo to all the tech centers, adult and career development coordinators, asking them if they would like to join the program. We've had a couple of bites since then, but nothing official. And then we've also reported out to the Oklahoma Nurses Association, Academic and Clinical Partnership Committee. They actually had a three-pronged plan that they presented to the governor to increase nurses, and we were one of the prongs. And so when they said this is something we can do and we can do it fast and show people how it can work, and we started basically all of this in the end of December. So we're very proud of how quickly it's come together. So I want to say a special thanks to our adult coordinators at the participating schools. They have worked very hard to come to consensus where we're all using the same information, not necessarily the same textbooks, but they're all using the same format, charging the same amount for everything. There is a live option at a couple of the schools. If a student comes in and says, I just don't want to do the simulated clinicals, then we can set them up with live clinicals. After 40 hours, there would be some additional costs. Our communications and marketing, Russell Ray, he's had everyone on this from the beginning, and the College of Nursing is an awesome partner to us, and they've been on every meeting we've been on, helping, giving feedback. And so that is the Nurse Refresher program. So I would love to answer any questions that I could if you would like, or if you have any.
Laura, I don't have but I must say I'm impressed. I love the fact, did you say you propped this up in the last 60 days?
Well, the program was already in existence, but we've completely revamped the program. And when we left in December, no one was going to leave in December until we knew where we had our framework prepared. And since that time, after the first of the year, we were like, okay, we want to be ready to go. As soon as everyone's back in school, we'll open up and people can join in. And so we've had a lot of people do that. We're trying to distribute the scholarships. They're going to a central portal. And so I can make sure that every school is getting some scholarships. So it will be divided across the state. But yes, that's what we've done.
Well, again, great job. I mean, I love the agility and how quickly you all have moved and found a need here and coming out of COVID and meeting that need. So fantastic work.
Thank you. I will tell my team.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree, Laura. Could you give us an idea of the genesis of the, I guess, refurbishment of the program and what triggered it other than just COVID, but internally how that happened and how you got it done? Because I think it's a lesson learned on some other programs that might need that. So I think it'd be good. Could you go through that with us?
Sure. It actually came from the Board of Nursing. They said this is one thing that we know we can do. Typically, this program was taking anywhere from 6 months to a year to complete. And it all depends on how aggressive the student is. They've always been able to go as fast as they could, except they would have to take all the coursework before they could sit for the test at the chapter and move on, or module. So really it was the Board of Nursing said, this is what we're going to do. And that was in response to the governor's committee that basically said, we've got to figure out a way to get more healthcare professionals in the pipeline. The people that are there are drowning. I don't know if any of you have been, I hope you haven't been a recipient of healthcare at any time in the last 6 months or year, but it's been, they're moving people from all over the hospital. My mom was just in the hospital and she was cared for by someone on the med-surg floor from someone from OB. And they're giving incentives, just even at our local hospital, we'll pay you X amount of dollars if you'll move over to this area, so they could move those med-surg nurses to COVID units. And so there's a lot of pieces in motion, and they may not actually go to work in a hospital, but every nurse that is prepared frees up someone else to work with more acute patients.
Yeah, I think we should press this, Dr. Mack. This is a great story of agility and how CareerTech can react quickly. So to the extent we can, I think it deserves, an effort to market and press it.
I will say they've done a great job. They've already put out a couple press releases, and Dr. Mack has made sure it's on our front page of our website. And I spoke on camera a couple times. That's terrifying, as I'm sure anyone who's ever done that knows. You realize just what you look and sound like. But it's been a great experience, and my hope has been that more people like the Masonic Charity Foundation will say, hey, we want to help too, because $2,000 is still a lot of money. I personally can't imagine coming up with that amount and saying, okay, I'm ready to lay this down and go back to school. I think it's a big challenge for a lot of people at this time.
Thank you.
Ms. Morris,
Yes.
and what are the requirements or the prerequisites for individuals to get into the program? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure, it's a great question. The prerequisites are that they have to have been recommended by they don't have to. Most of our students are recommended by the Board of Nursing. So when someone has let their license lapse and they call and they say, hey, how do I get my license renewed? And if it's been within the last 2 years, they'll work with you. If not, you have to take a refresher course. And that's if you let it lapse. There's a number of people who go through our programs, both in higher ed and career tech programs, who never sit for their boards, which just it kind of makes you go, wow, I can't even imagine. But sometimes they just get scared off the bat. And then the longer you put it off, the easier it is to put off. And from talking on the phone with a lot of people, that's what they've expressed. So you have to have completed a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse program. And so you would need to show your transcript from the school showing that you did complete that program. There are people who have completed, who have continued their nursing license and just want to come back and take a refresher course because maybe I haven't worked the floor in a long time. Maybe I've been in a doctor's office and now I'm looking for something a little different now that my kids are grown or something. So in that situation, people can come and take the course. Anyone can, as long as they are a registered nurse or an LPN student, or they've at least completed the curriculum. That's one of the reasons we felt that we could, the other factor that was kind of everyone was a little stressed out about was, oh, only 40 hours in clinical. So how are we going to do that? That's not very much. And I don't know if you know very many nurses, but nurses are very passionate about making sure that everyone is credentialed as they should be and that they are protecting the public. So they do a fantastic job of that. And but what we upon our consensus, we realized that a lot of people have, that a lot of those students, they may be able to, this won't be their last stop. Let me put it like that. If you go to a hospital and anyone who starts a hospital job, it doesn't matter what you've done, where you've worked, they will put you through an orientation. Their orientation, they will have you check off on their skills. And so there will be, and before they start taking care of patients, there would be another, an employer satisfaction on their skills. So.
Thank you. Well, more than ever before, we need our nurses and more of them in the field. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Sure.
All
Very
right.
good job, Laura. Very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to your crew.
Thank you. I will share.
Absolutely. All right, then. Item number 2.2, 2.02. And speaking of the Appreciation Month, we have a very impressive and important proclamation from the governor's office recognizing Career and Technology Education Appreciation Month for February. So Mr. Ray, would you like to share with the board?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be with everybody this morning. I must say Laura Morris is way too hard on herself. She has been a media star the last few weeks representing the career tech system. I know it can be terrifying dealing with the media, but she is a media pro and did an outstanding job of promoting what we're doing here at CareerTech related to the Nurse Refresher Program. Yes, February is Oklahoma Career Tech Month. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has recognized Oklahoma's career tech system and its impact on the Oklahoma economy by declaring February Career and Technical Education Month in Oklahoma. We did put out a proclamation just recently. And if I can successfully share my screen with you, I'll show that to you. All right, here we go. Here's the proclamation from Governor Kevin Stitt declaring February Career and Technical Education Month in Oklahoma. As Marcy and Superintendent Hoffmeister said, every month is a Career Tech Month in Oklahoma. I got to give a big shout out to our communications and marketing staff, especially Kylie Moulton, who has put together a series of social media assets. We've launched a social media campaign related to CareerTech Month, and that is underway as we speak. Let me see if I can share my PowerPoint presentation with you. All right, get this out of the way. So we launched a very extensive social media campaign this month. We've been posting one post for every day of the month in February on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and the topics touch on pretty much every aspect of the CareerTech system: the tech centers, business and industry, CTU, Project Lead the Way, agriculture, energy, meat processing, the Oklahoma Bid Assistance Network, placement rates, Carl Perkins, and much, much more. And the results have been very impressive so far. The social media engagement has been very good. The past 17 days, more than 232,000 impressions in the last 17 days. We're reaching 232,000 people, 27,000 from Twitter, 190,000 on Facebook, 13,000 on Instagram. But even more impressive has been the engagements, more than 37,000 engagements, 36,000 on Facebook, 441 on Twitter, and 277 on Instagram. And we're also getting very good results from the views of the video assets we've been using during this social media campaign. Our videos have been viewed more than 104,000 times. I mentioned engagements, 37,000. That's up 87% from the previous 2 weeks, and impressions are up nearly 3% compared to the previous 2 weeks. We did secure a monthly guest column in the Journal Record, and Marcy wrote a fantastic column about CareerTech Month, which was published on February 8th in the Journal Record. It's online. I would encourage everybody to go to that site, share it with your followers and all your colleagues. So that will be a monthly column in the Journal Record, so be looking for that first of every month. I'm going to end this by showing you a couple of clips, some videos we've been using on our social media channels in commemoration of CareerTech Month. Here we go.
I think I always kind of knew I wanted to be an engineer. It started with when I was in 4th grade. We had made a little basic circuit. We made a little light bulb light up, and I went home and I was like, Mom, Dad, this is where I belong.
I took a digital electronics course, and it reminded me of the childlike wonder I felt when I was like a kid tampering with toys and like taking them apart and seeing what the electronics inside were. Because I mean, I know I was going into engineering, but that was just like a good definitive moment that, you know what, I could do this my entire life and never get bored.
When you're in a normal high school, they don't have that intense focus on one thing, but going through Project Lead the Way, we had a lot of focus on the engineering side of it. I've taken intro to engineering classes, and I've taken other classes like principles of engineering that have really helped me for what I'm doing right now.
To be surrounded by students that wanted to be there and wanted to work really hard. So it's really cool for that community to have that you can't really get anywhere else.
Probably one of the best decisions I made in high school was to go to the pre-engineering program. There was never more than 20 kids in a room, so there was a lot of one-on-one time with my instructors, and every single one of my instructors in the program were very passionate about engineering and about their students. Through PLTW, I found that was always the standard.
Going through Project Lead the Way, you get a background in it for years in high school, and you really get to figure out if that's what you want to do. You get to know what engineers do and the different types of engineering, so you really know if that's like what you could see yourself doing in 20 years.
My dream job is probably going to be working in water systems in third world nations, and I really got to that from my pre-engineering program. And one of our big benchmark projects for that class was to make a water filter out of all of this random materials. And by the end of it, it's just something I really attached to and knew I would love to be doing that 20 years down the road.
Be able to design something that could like improve human life and just be something that no one's ever seen before, and that would be awesome.
Just being able to go through high school, kind of knowing what I want to do, but being confirmed that was what I was going to do the rest of my life was really nice.
All right, that's one of many video clips that we've been using this month. Let me show you another video clip that we've been highlighting.
This experience changed my attitude to education drastically. I hated school. I hated school with a passion. But having this hands-on approach has changed it where I wake up every morning, I'm excited because there's something new I'm going to learn that's going to help me later on. I hated fractions. I didn't know how to read a tape measure. You tell me a third, 3/4 of an inch, and I'm like the third biggest mark on the tape measure. And now, I'm doing fractions in my head without, looking at the tape measure. I'm just dividing and, multiplying things. A lot of these kids who have struggled with math are finally understanding, how fractions work because they're getting a hands-on demonstration. This is why it's here, because there are actual jobs that use it. You're not going to grow up in 10 years, and it's like, why did I do algebra? We do algebra here almost every day. And so it's more of an applicable hands-on approach to why school has all these, classes that you think you'll forget in 10 years. This is something that I'm not just going to learn so I can take a test. This is something I'm learning so I can be productive in society and life. I can make money.
All right, so those are some examples of what we've been doing the first few weeks of CareerTech month. We're only halfway through. We have another 2 weeks to go. I would encourage everyone to go to our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you have one of those, and share it with your followers and colleagues. We've got a lot of exciting things going on from a marketing perspective. In addition to our social media campaign related to CareerTech month, we're launching a new newscast, a CareerTech newscast fairly soon. We'll let you know when that comes out. And we've started a series, as Marcy mentioned earlier, a series of monthly panel discussions regarding our various career clusters. We started with energy, agriculture. We did an aerospace panel discussion recently, which got a lot of great feedback and great attendance. Our next panel discussion is March 25th on construction. And so we're working on that. We have a great lineup of speakers already planned for that. So we got a lot of exciting things to talk about. CareerTech has a great story to tell. The Nurse Refresher Program is a perfect example of what CareerTech does, shows how flexible we are and how quick the CareerTech system can respond to the needs of industry. That's a great example, and so is the work we're doing in meat processing. We have a lot more work to do. At this time, if you have any questions, please feel free. All right, we'll get out.
Wonderful job. Wonderful job. And we know sharing the story and opportunities for Oklahomans on social media is a really important way to reach them. And so, and create greater awareness. So thank you for your work on this and love those videos.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is the item 3.01, discussion of our administrative rulemaking process and the first reading of the proposed 2021 administrative rule amendments. Mr. Hammonds.
Good morning, Superintendent Hoffmeister, members of the board, and our guests that are joining us virtually this morning. continuing with our theme of every month is CareerTech month, it's a great opportunity now to talk a little bit about the administrative rules and our process and what we will be doing next month, because this month's agenda item is not an action item. Our goal is so that you, the state board, will be very comfortable at our March meeting when we will have public hearings and you will get to consider proposed administrative rule changes. Now, the proposed rule changes were already made available to the public. They were mailed out to the board and they're posted on CareerTech's website. So Dr. Mack has asked me to just spend an hour with us this morning and talk about these proposed rule changes. No, she asked me not to do that. So we will not go through the proposed rule changes line by line today. I want to talk basically two areas, talk about the process and then talk about the proposed rule changes at a higher level. Our end result with all of our proposed rule changes is having these rule changes effective as soon as possible. And in legal terms, that means by September of this month, some 7 months from now. To get to there, this process is, you kind of have to work backwards, as those of you have worked with administrative rules in the past. To have the rules effective in September, you have to start basically the year before. So we started at CareerTech in the fall of 2020 to be able to file these amendments by April 1 of this year. Senior leadership led this process, and we did it a little differently this year. Instead of taking a topical approach, we took a more comprehensive look at the current rules and looked at where updates were needed and more flexibility could be considered for our schools and students could be implemented. Senior staff held meetings with staff to gain input and suggestions for these amendments, and then gathered the proposed language for these changes in 5 chapters to the rules. We've now published notice to the public. We are sharing with constituent groups and partners, and the written comment period has begun, and we've allowed a more than 30-day public notice comment. All this so that we can have hearings at the March board meeting to consider these comments from the public and to consider the proposed amendments. This year, we're looking at proposed amendments to 5 chapters. There are no new rules because we're looking at that too. No new rules are being proposed. In Chapter 10, there are 7 rule amendments proposed. And just summarily, kind of what are these being, what's the topics being covered? Some discussion on our online course from the agency, and the current language had some limitations in it. So we're trying to remove those limits. We're clarifying several of our finance processes, different kinds of processes, including reimbursement for apprenticeships, making sure it's very clear that funding for those is dependent upon availability of funding. And another example might be we're clarifying some processes for schools and how they get their funding. Moving on to Chapter 20, which is the Programs and Services chapter, there are 9 rule changes there. And kind of one of the overarching themes in the changes to Chapter 20 is just some changes to correct some proposed errors in format, punctuation, capitalization, and grammar. And we've kind of put this off from the standpoint of taking the approach, you know, if a word is in the, you know, if a comma needed to be inserted or deleted, you know, don't change, you don't go through a rule amendment for that. But at some point in time, you have to do a collection of these, and we have a collection of those. So that is one of the themes in Chapter 20. There are also some updates to the IEPs and the Section 504 plan language. There are update to rules on what our practices are from the standpoint of making sure that what our rules say we do and how we do it is actually how we're doing it. And so, and all this is in line with providing schools some flexibility and providing students to services to students. The next chapter is our business and industry services, and there's only one proposed rule change there. The Department of CareerTech by statute is involved in the municipal clerks and training, treasurers training. I don't know if most of the public realize that. I don't know if all of our board members realize. And this is something that the Department of CareerTech has been involved in for decades. This proposed rule change just updates some language and some citations. And we will continue working with the Municipal League and others that provide training to our cities, our municipal clerks and treasurers. Chapter 30 is our skill center, and there are 2 proposed rule changes there. there was a rule that listed who some of our partners were. And as time has passed very quickly, that list has become outdated because we're continuously looking for new partners to be better able to serve our students and clients and the citizens of Oklahoma. We're looking for those new partners, and having a finite list just doesn't seem appropriate in these days and times. The last chapter being proposed changes deals with adult education, and there are 3 proposed rule changes there. There's some language to update the list of high school equivalency exams that we provide, and there's some clarification for some language that comes about from some changes from federal law and who may take the exams. Now, you've had a chance to have those proposed rule changes mailed out to you. If there are any questions that you have at this time, that's super. Please feel free to ask them. If you have and develop some questions during this next month before the March meeting, feel free to contact us at the agency, and we will make sure that we provide you the background or what those changes are so that you're very comfortable in March when you're called upon to have a public meeting and public hearing, and then to actually consider action on those proposed amendments. Are there any questions at this time?
Glenn, one of the first things you mentioned about Rule 10, I think you gave an example of like changing or amending some of the online pieces. Can you expound on that just a little bit? And if it's too much, you and I can take that offline later. That's not a problem.
Well, basically, there was in our rules, we had listed the format or the platform that we would provide our online training on. Basically, we don't want to limit it just to that one LMS.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, Superintendent Hoffmeister, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and appreciate your work on that. The next item is 3.02, and those are the update from Dr. Mack on the Oklahoma Centers of Workforce Excellence. Dr. Mack.
Thank you, Superintendent Hoffmeister and board members. This specific agenda item, we were requested at our last meeting to give a brief update from a board member, a brief update on the Centers of Workforce Excellence and where we were at in that process. So we were very fortunate in October that the Governor's Workforce Council did approve 6 of the Centers of Workforce Excellence. We do have that application process open. The Governor's Workforce Council for January was canceled. Therefore, we did not have another set of Centers of Workforce Excellence to be considered. We are working with some communities that are working to complete their application. And the 6 areas that were approved, we are working with them on their metrics and putting in place how they identified some of their gaps. We are working with them to specifically help them address those and move their plan forward that they have for their local community. We were also very fortunate. The Office of Workforce Development had an opportunity for the Centers of Workforce Excellence because they are formed around a community and they had multiple partners at the table. There were some grant opportunities open for them to garner some support financially to be able to move their plan forward. Those grants have not been announced yet, but we're hopeful that the format and the outline that was utilized for the Centers of Workforce Excellence will not only help with the current grants that we have open, but the community and how they come together to write those should help them with future grants that they're looking at to be able to move those objectives forward. So the process is still open. Here at the agency, we do play a very active role in helping those who are applying for being a Center of Workforce Excellence, making sure that we're providing them the resources. Gina Hubbard and Max McKnight, as individuals may call in and want help with that, they work with them. Our other regional coordinators can connect with them and provide them resources, and also connect them with individuals in their local communities to be able to complete their application for a Center of Workforce Excellence. But it is open. If individuals would like to apply, they can contact us and upload that to the site. and we're happy to help in any way that we can. So that's where we are at. We are continuing to move it forward and engage with communities to help them in that process. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mack. We appreciate all of your work there. So now, board members, it's time to look at accreditation. Item number 4.01 is discussion and vote, and they're on the full post-secondary accreditations of 4 different CareerTech centers, and as they are school districts. So there's Chisholm Trail Technology Center School District, Metro Technology Center School District, as well as Moore Norman Technology Center School District, and Southwest Technology Center School District as well. So Jessica, would you want to lead in our discussion in your presentation?
Yes, good morning, everyone. We do have 4 schools here, and as Dr. Mack stated at the beginning, the superintendents are present with us today. First up, we have Chisholm Trail. Part of our typical script would be the same for every school, and I'm going to kind of tell you that one now so you don't have to hear it 4 times in a row, but we do vote on these one at a time. For all 4 of these schools, the examiners evaluated all aspects of the Technology Center's operations using the quality standards approved by this board and listed on the accreditation guidelines published by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education. These standards address leadership and administration, instruction and training, support services, measurement and analysis, personnel, operations, and system impact. On Chisholm Trail on September 29th through October 1st, the Accreditation Division conducted a hybrid visit, including virtual and on-site accreditation review at Chisholm Trail Technology Center. The examiner team was comprised of 21 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 8 examiners from technology centers. During the review, examiners interviewed 17 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and in group interviews. The stakeholders included business and industry, community leaders, partner school administrators and teachers, parents of students attending the Technology Center. Examiners also interviewed Technology Center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. We recommend the board grant full accreditation status to Chisholm Trail Technology Center. If approved, the Technology Center will have 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement identified in the report for the 6 quality standards. Agency staff will monitor progress towards completion of these and provide technical assistance as needed. Do you have any questions for Chisholm Trail Technology Center?
Jessica, actually, I meant to ask you this before you started, but as you go through these, and I know we do this each time, but if there are any opportunities that were highlighted from that, could you share any of those that surfaced that were of any concern, or if they're already ongoing and adjusting them?
Yes, I would say, Mr. Bobeck, they get to choose, and I would say most, if not all, opportunities for improvement that examiners find technology centers are aware of and already working towards, and then they are just able to choose those as part of something we monitor for the next 5 years.
Madam Chairman, unless there are other questions, I would move for approval of a full post-secondary accreditation for Chisholm Trail Technology Center, School District number 26.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a proper second. And any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Mr. Bobeck.
Aye.
Mr. Stallings.
Aye, sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Stewart,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That motion carries. Congratulations. Next.
Okay, next we have Metro Technology Center. Their accreditation was conducted on December 7th through the 11th. It was a hybrid visit as well, including virtual and on-site accreditation in Oklahoma City. The examiner team was comprised of 33 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 14 examiners from technology centers. During the review, examiners interviewed 26 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and in small groups. The stakeholders included business and industry representatives, community leaders, partner school administrators and teachers, and parents of students attending the Technology Center. Examiners also interviewed Technology Center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. During the review, examiners identified one area of non-compliance with the requirements of federal regulations. The Technology Center submitted a corrective action plan that was sufficient to remedy the issue and is already in place at Metro Technology Center. Examiners found no other items requiring corrective action. We recommend the board grant full accreditation status to Metro Technology Centers. If approved, the Technology Center will have 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement identified in their report for the 6 quality standards. Agency staff again will monitor these and provide technical assistance as needed. Are there any questions?
Madam Chairman, hearing no questions, I would move for approval of the full post-secondary accreditation for Metro Technology Center, School District number 22.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Stallings,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck, Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. That motion carries. Jessica.
Okay, next we have Moore Norman Technology Center. Moore Norman Technology Center's accreditation took place on October 5th through the 8th. Again, this was a hybrid visit, including virtual and on-site accreditation in Norman, Oklahoma. The examiner team was comprised of 27 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 5 examiners from technology centers. During the review, examiners interviewed 28 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and group interviews. These stakeholders included business and industry representatives, community leaders, partner school administrators and teachers, parents of students attending the Technology Center. Examiners also interviewed Technology Center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. During the review, examiners identified one area of noncompliance with the requirements of federal regulations. The Technology Center has submitted a corrective action plan that is sufficient to remedy the issue and again is already in place at Moore Norman Technology Center. We recommend the board grant full accreditation status to Moore Norman Technology Center. And again, if approved, the Technology Center has 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement in each of the 6 standards. We will continue to monitor it and provide technical assistance. Are there any questions for Moore Norman?
Madam Chairman, hearing no questions, I would move for a full post-secondary accreditation for Moore Norman Technology Center, School District number 17.
Is there a
second that.
second? I'm sorry. Who is that?
I'll second it. Jimmy Stallings.
Mr. Stallings. Okay, thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck.
Yes.
Mr. Stallings.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion carries. And finally,
Okay, the fourth school is Southwest Technology Center. It was conducted November 3rd through the 5th, the same hybrid format that we had done with virtual and on-site accreditation in Altus, Oklahoma. The examiner team was comprised of 20 examiners and ODCTE staff, including 10 examiners from technology centers. During the review, examiners interviewed 24 stakeholders in various manners, including individual settings and in small groups. The stakeholders included business and industry representatives, community leaders, partner school administrators and teachers, and parents of students attending the Technology Center. Examiners also interviewed Technology Center administrators, certified and support staff, and students. Again, we recommend the board grant full accreditation to Southwest Technology Center. If approved, they will have 90 days to submit an action plan addressing one opportunity for improvement identified in the report for each of the standards. Our staff will monitor and provide technical assistance as needed. Are there any questions?
Madam Chairman, unless there are any other questions, I would move for full post-secondary accreditation for Southwest Technology Center, School District number 27.
Second.
all right, very good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes.
Mr. Byrd.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Stallings.
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. Congratulations.
Superintendent, I would like to see if any of the superintendents present, like Dr. Mack mentioned, would like to say anything or have any comments. We all worked really hard this year to make these hybrid visits work. So if you guys would like to say anything, the floor is yours.
This is Dale Latham, Southwest Technology Center in Altus. I'd like to thank the State Board of CareerTech, Superintendent Hoffmeister, and Dr. Mack for their leadership through this accreditation process. I will say this blended accreditation process worked well for Southwest Technology Center. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Randy. We were able to align our strategic plan with the accreditation process and maintain a very good balance for our continuous school improvement. We've already incorporated our plan of action in our strategic planning meetings and are moving forward with some of the recommendations as we speak. So again, thank you, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Dale.
This is Aaron Collins from Metro Technology Centers. Thank you for being invited to this board meeting and for the great work that's being done here. And again, that it is every month is Career Tech Month. And I think that what I want to really share out is that it's so important that we share our story and that we be the ones then that message and share out that story and scream it. I tell people all the time, stop this ideology of Career Tech Oklahoma being a diamond in the rough. We're a diamond and we got bling bling and we're gonna show it out. And we're gonna let everyone know about our great bling bling that we have here in Oklahoma, and scream it, scream it, scream it, scream it. And really appreciate Justin and Jessica and their work that they constantly and guidance with us and we're so grateful for that. Also to Dr. Mack, when we had a couple of complications, we're able to work through those and adjust those. So really appreciate the flexibility that was done and given to us in CareerTech to be able to go through this process. Great work. So grateful to our examination team members and to all the CareerTechs who brought in members to help us learn and grow and how we can better do quality career training for our students, for our clients, our partners, and our community. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate Superintendent Hoffmeister for your work and your efforts for us to be able to continue CareerTech even in a pandemic. So thank you so much for your support, and Dr. Mack.
This is Max Thomas at Chisholm Trail Technology Center, and this is my 13th year at Chisholm Trail and third, accreditation visit. And this is by far the best and most thorough accreditation visit that I've had here. The cross-referencing that they mentioned when they talk about stakeholders, students, parents, teachers, support staff, it is it's words, but it's more than that. It's very thorough. And if you say something, they're going to know after they talk about to the fifth person, whether that's consistent among everybody in your tech center. And I appreciate that fact. This was truly a plan of growth, a plan of moving CareerTech forward. It's kind of like sometimes I'd mention to people, they say, that chair out in front, we moved that. And I said, what chair? I don't ever remember seeing that chair. And so what happens sometimes on applications, they'll look at your application and says, you need to take this out. This is a new way. And, that was some very needed information that we got from the State Department, but the leadership from Jessica and Justin, Dr. Mack, board, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate the opportunity that we have to continue to move forward and get better at what we're doing. You're just never satisfied at trying to hit excellence, and thank you for that, and the team members that came out from the State Department to work here at Chisholm Trail with us. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Brian Ruttman from Moore Norman Technology Center. I want to echo everything that's already been said. Extreme thanks to Superintendent Hoffmeister, the CareerTech board, Dr. Mack. Jessica and Justin did an outstanding job facilitating this accreditation visit for us. The feedback was phenomenal, and the way they came in and really made it a painless process for all of us was outstanding. And we'll take the feedback to heart. And there's things that we saw we could certainly improve on. But to Max's point, sometimes you forget the great things that are going on. And when you have a visit like this, it allows you to kind of reflect on what's working well and recognize those accomplishments that you're having in process. So thank you, and hope everyone is staying safe and warm.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, great work. Thank you. And again, congratulations to all of you. All right, on the agenda next is a item to consider the executive session as we discuss termination of Brennan Schaefer. Is this recommended by Dr. Mack or our attorneys?
Yes, it is.
All right, then. Board members will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chairman, so moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bobick,
Aye.
Mr. Stallings,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes. All right, we will move then into executive session. Dr. Mack, do you have any instructions for us on?
I would ask that our attorney, myself, and Becky Foster be allowed into executive session.
Very good. And in terms of going into executive session?
Each board member, you will receive a notice on your screen that indicates you will be going to your executive session room. Please accept that into your executive session room. For our viewing audience, there will be a pause in that, and then we will come right back to this format. So for those of you who are viewing us, if you just want to stay here in the outer room of our Zoom, we will be joining you back as soon as we finish an executive session. So board members, please watch for on your screen to join into our executive session room, accept that, and we will see you in our other room. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. We will entertain a motion to return out of executive session.
Madam Chairman, so moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Stallings,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank
All right,
you.
we are coming into the main session from executive session, and we can state for the record that no votes were taken during that executive session. Now, I would entertain a motion if board members have one.
Madam Chairman, I would move to terminate the employment of Brennan Schaefer effective at the close of business today, February 18th, 2021.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Mr. Stallings,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion carries. Now I will ask if there is any new business. Item 5.
There is no new business at this time.
Thank you. Any announcements? Item 6. Okay. Then we are on the final item, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Just a reminder on a video type meeting, we do have to have roll call vote. So please call the roll. And
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes, with a commendation on great work.
Mr. Stallings. Did we lose Mr. Stallings?
He must have already
Oh,
voted.
so
It looks like it.
He's coming back in now. Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Mr. Stallings, can you hear us?
Yeah, my internet just cut out. Yes.
That's okay. Thank you. Superintendent Hoffmeister.
yes.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you very much for all the work and for the presentations today. And with that, we are adjourned. Take care.
Thank
Stay
you all.
warm.
Stay warm.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everybody be safe.